Okay. So you go online, you go to search for what are the things that are required for a civil engineer or a mechanical engineer. During
Can
your
you record
search,
now?
what did you say? Come again?
I said, can you record now?
Oh, yeah, thank you. I saw the notification and I clicked recording now. So, yeah.
Okay, awesome. Thank you very much.
All right. So when you go online and you are looking for what makes you as a structural engineer or as a mechanical engineer stand out, then you discover that there are some softwares you need to know. There are some softwares you need to know how to use. You're not even in grad school yet, but this software, you go online, you search, and you find out that there are some free tutorials on that software. You take the free tutorials. If you are not even able to like purchase the software and get the full training, you have an idea. If you are able to self-train yourself, fine. But if you are not able to self-train, you you can decide to purchase. So I do something, I go to YouTube because so I have brothers that are like I have a younger brother who is Gen Z or so. So he tells me when I say I don't know something, I mean taught something in class, I don't understand. He tells me, go to YouTube. There are millions of videos on YouTube you can learn from. So you go to their place, you learn about these softwares, and then you can, because you already have a background knowledge, even if not 100% knowledge of how to use it, you have put it in your CV that you are able to do this. Now that gives you an edge over others that want to apply for the same opportunity. That positions you in a place of advantage. So let me quickly give this example. So I was discussing with my course director about some softwares yesterday. We had a meeting and then she mentioned one software that I don't know about. I'm not an engineer. She mentioned SCADA. She mentioned one other software like that. I just went to YouTube immediately. Let's see what this is about. So there are some things you can self-train yourself about. Once I know how to do these things, I can put on my CV. So when you're applying for scholarships, and then you are able to write that I have this knowledge in school, I was taught these courses in school, I am able to do this special activity, I'm able to use this software. You have gone extra mile from the softwares that maybe they taught in school, but you know it's important because you're coming to maybe a school in France and you know that they need this software. You have learned it. And then you're able to put it in your CV that I know how to use this software. I know how to do this. That positions you in a place of advantage over others. So we need to know how to harness opportunities. Like I said, when I was going to apply for this scholarship, I did something. I went online. I want to do water and wastewater engineering. So I went to look for courses online that I could do. And I can assure you there are a lot of free courses you can actually take before you that can boost your chances. So I stumbled on the free course that was organized by United Nations DP with another body. So I took the free course. I put the evidence of the free course in my CV and I applied, I attached a certificate on LinkedIn. I believe these are one of the things that made me have an advantage over others. So you go and search what are the scholarships that are available for, you mentioned your course or your particular area, what interests you, maybe hydrology, maybe, different things. When you look online, you search, you are going to make Google your best friend in this period. You're going to really do some digging. So when you see these things that okay, there are public scholarships, there are scholarships that are not advertised, that are only on the pages of the school. When you decide or you come across maybe from your Google search, you were directed to a school, and then on the website of the school, when you click the requirements for you to have admission in the school, go to fees and funding. When you click fees and funding, sometimes the course has some funding. Sometimes there is a research grant that has been released by the federal government, the government of the country for that particular research. You go there, you have seen it that, okay, so I have sometimes not a full scholarship, sometimes it's a full scholarship. So when you go there and you are able to look at the requirements that you need for the funding. In fact, there are some fundings that are just for Black students. There are some fundings that are for female students. There are for fundings that are specific about countries. In fact, I came across one British Council scholarship for STEM, for women in STEM. These are things you can look out for. As a lady, I decided to Google what are the scholarships available for ladies in engineering. What are the scholarships available for Africans in engineering? So these are how to see. I need you to know that you are coming to grad school. Nobody is going to do the job for you in grad school. So if you don't learn from now how to search for information, how to use the search engine to your advantage, how do you think you're going to survive the grad school? I don't, this guy, this other, my co-host who is an engineering student will tell you, you'll be given stuff to do in class. You have to go back and do some searching, do some readings. See, when we have assignments, you need to see the way you, apart from what is being taught in class, you start digging, you start reading, start searching for information online. So if you don't learn how to start searching for information from now, when do you want to start doing it? Do not wait for anybody to start tweeting, particularly, oh, there is a scholarship for you here. You have a lot of work to do as a prospective grad student, and you better start doing it now. So, like I said, areas of interest are easy to pick. The field is very broad. Let me give you one quick one before I allow Alayola to talk. So it's possible that during a class, your lecturer mentions something that interests you, and you're like, okay, so maybe the lecturer is talking about, I'm not so, I don't know so many terminologies in engineering, so but maybe a lecturer talks about something about flow in pipes or something, or about hydraulics, and it mentions something that interests you at that period in time. When you get back home, you start reading about it. Those are the things that interest is what is important in grad school applications. You have to be interested in it. So when my lecturer is talking and he mentions some things, I pick interest in it. Then I began to search. So when you begin to search for information, I'm telling you, you will find information. You will find that there are a lot of research themes that you don't even know about in your field. You will discover there is a lot that you have that I don't know, that he doesn't even know about. But how do you discover this? Until you search, you cannot. You can't sit and wait for people to look for information for you. Carry your laptop or your phone, keep searching. You know, you are going to find different things that are interesting, and you're going to find fundings for them. I can assure you, science is heavily funded, engineering is heavily funded, mathematics is heavily funded. So just relax, keep searching, you will find a lot of fundings. Okay, I don't want to do all the talking alone, so I'm going to let Olayola talk now.
Okay, you actually spoke very well.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. So let me talk from, because I did more engineering.
Oh yeah.
let me let me talk from the engineering aspect. Um, in the very beginning, when you are an engineering student, we start from maybe 20 level officially. You start learning engineering. We do courses, for example, maybe all this engineering drawing, blah blah blah, that we feel are not really necessary. Then we move to 3 level and we move to our department. We start doing the courses that we want. Do you know that every course you did in school are actually very important? They're actually very, very important. Very, very important. Because personally, me now, what I'm actually studying now, I'm studying more of electronics. But when we were in Nigeria, we didn't really study more of electronics. We studied more of electrical.
Mm.
So, but when we were in Nigeria, we were just maybe just basics of electronics. You understand? You know, really, because in my school, University of Illinois, we not really go deep into electronics. So we just knew the peripheral, and
Basics.
we knew more power systems. So when I was actually applying for scholarship, I was really focusing more on power system because that's what I know.
Mm-hmm.
But when I got here, I discovered that there's actually a difference between power system and power electronics. Like you said, you have to read wide about your research area. Due to environmental constraints, we don't really know much about our field in Nigeria. Let me put it like that. Most of us don't know much. We just know based on what we know in Nigeria. But one way to actually widen your thought is if you read very wide. You have to be very curious about your research field, not just what you learn in school. One way to build your research, to widen your research area is by reading journals. That's during your final year project. That most of you are doing your final year project or something. You try to read a lot of paper, read very wide. Don't just what they teach you in school. It's only what they teach you in school, what they teach you in school, what they teach you in school. No, it won't help you. You have to be very curious. Okay, choose one research area. Like, okay, for example, me now, for example, I focus more on solar panel. Like, okay, I want to know more about solar panel, not just on bulb, connecting solar panel and just connecting and getting light. No, you have to be very curious. Read research papers, latest research papers. There's a lot of sites where you can get that kind of thing. For example, Google Scholar, ResearchGate, Academia. There are a lot of sites where you can get free journals, free. Just read about, okay, this research here, what is it about? By reading that person's research paper, you can even get the information of the professor that, okay, this professor is trying to work on something, and message that professor that, okay, this professor, I'm interested in what you did. I like what you did. I want to continue. I would like to maybe learn under your feet, like be your student. That is how me I got my own scholarship, Sha.
Okay,
Because
we're going to talk about that later.
yeah. So you have to be very, very curious. One thing about graduate school, you have to be very, very curious. You have to be very, very curious about your research field. That, okay, this thing, I want to know it. What is it about? Like you said, you have to YouTube. YouTube is very good. Not just, okay, they teach you in school theory, because most times in Nigeria we just know theory, we don't know practical. Even when I got TSF, I knew that I don't know anything. So one way to at least, it's not possible for you to get the equipment, but at least you can see the operation is through YouTube.
Exactly. Yeah.
So if they ask you that, okay, can you do this thing? I don't know how to do it, but I know how they do it. Yes, for example, let's say how to solder now, how to solder, like connect electronic boards together. You may not know it, but if you watch YouTube, you'll be like, okay, I know how they do it. And that alone can help you. That alone can help. That statement that you know how they do it is enough for some people. It's enough for some professors to even say that, okay, yes, this person should come. Where you put it in your CV that, okay, I know how this thing works. Another thing again, maybe later we'll talk about the power of CV writing, because you have to know how to write CV very well. You have to know how to write CV very well. There's some things that, for example, now let's say you on during your IT, you on Bob. There's a way you can package it that, okay, I did something that'll make it look like one big thing that you did. So I think at least I've introduced curiosity is very important. Very, very important. If you're not curious now, by the time you get to graduate school, I don't know how you will cope. Because even now, safe, it's like I'm teaching myself correctly.
Exactly.
I'm teaching myself, like sometimes you just be like, wow, I'm just teaching myself. You have to look for solution. They'll give you questions that you don't even know how how you do it. You feel very frustrated. So you have to, from now, you have to build that culture of being curious, finding solution of what you want. Yeah.
Okay, so thank you, Olaiwala. I want to quickly say something about what he said. He said he got his scholarship by cold emailing. So I'm going to talk briefly about types of scholarships that are available. For every field, you'll find that there are public scholarships that are always like published, and everybody is sending the Erasmus Mundo scholarship is out, the Commonwealth scholarship is out, Chevron scholarship is out, Swedish Institute something is out. So these scholarships, they are there. Everybody hears about them. There are also other scholarships that are not so much advertised, but like I said, you will find them on the website of the school. On a quick example of that one is, so I am in a water course, and the Institute of Water actually does scholarships they've decided to fund a few scholarships, a few students to study this particular course. So I know 2 people in my class that are studying my course. So 2 of us are Commonwealth scholars. 2 people are scholars of the IWA, International Water Association. Now, when I said the field of engineering is very flexible, there's one person in my class who is an engineer, mechanical engineer, but got a scholarship to come and study water engineering. Do you understand what I'm saying? So you can see like there is a chance of maneuvering. So I know people who got scholarship from this one, which is not the popular Commonwealth scholarship everybody is hearing about. They may have gotten this information from the school website or from Twitter, because I actually saw the advertisement on Twitter for this particular institute or International Water Association scholarship, but that wasn't what I got. Now, for this same course, we have people who got the British Council scholarship, which probably was popular in the person's country. So there are different scholarships that are available, but you will not know until you visit some sites or you visit the site of your school, the site of your course. Now, another thing is some industries fund scholarships. Like for my school, they have a heavy partnership with between school and industry. So industry actually funds a lot of research in my school. So industry decides sometimes to sponsor students. They can say, I only tuition, different things. I'm just telling you that there are different scholarships that you can actually access. However, let's look at Olaiwala's aspect. He got his scholarship by cold emailing. Now there are techniques to cold emailing. Now, when you want to do cold emailing, like he said, it means you go to this particular, let me say you come to my school, Cranfield University, and then you check the website and you say, oh, I want to do a research in maybe biosensors or something. And then you discover the lecturer who is in charge of that particular course. You don't just mail the lecturer and say, oh yeah, I like your course and I want to study. How do you justify the need for the scholarship? How do you want him to think you're serious and you should be given the scholarship? That is where studying comes into place. That's why he was saying the other time that he studied. He read so much, and so you have to be informed. That's one. Number one is when whatever scholarship you're applying for, you have to be informed. You have to know what is the trend in the field. You have to know what is the problem in this research area that I'm focusing on. What is the risk? What is the most challenging thing that is going on? What is the trend of technology in that aspect? What do you think the future holds for that technology? Then find your place. How do I come into this particular challenge? That is how to do it. So if you're going to mail a professor, the professor must know that, number one, you know what you are doing. How do you show that you know what you are doing? By the information that you display. You are showing the professor that I have read what is going on in this field. I have read your research work. I know your research interest. I know that, okay, let me give another example. So we have a professor in class that his major is membrane in Water Science Institute, and he's an engineer, you understand, but he's focused on biomembranes, sorry, not biomembranes, on membranes. So before you mail him, you must have read what the state of his research is, previous works done by him or by other institutes around, other researchers. You have read and you are informed about the state of things. You know what the future trend is. You know the challenges that they are facing in the field right now. Okay, right now in this field, this is the challenge that all the companies are facing. This is what I propose. This is what I think we can do. This is what I find interesting or intriguing about your research work. So, professor, I want to work with you. Now, the professor might have some funding for some research and he did not advertise the research. He might not even put it on the school website that he has some funding for this research. But interestingly, you mail him as a student, you show keen interest in his research work, and then you prove that you are knowledgeable about it. Of course, you don't have to know the solution, but you have shown interest in wanting to provide solution, wanting to use the availability of his own research to contribute. Like, I want to also like study this. I'm interested in this. I know what's going on. That is how to justify the need for the professor to say, oh, so he has funding, but he didn't advertise it, but he's found a student who is interested and who is knowledgeable in it. And he says, oh, sure, why not? And then sometimes it's not the time for it. Then he tells you, okay, mail me in May, because that's when I need you to come in, or mail me in August. You have secured a slot. So that is how it is done for cold. It's called cold emailing. And I'm sure that if you go through the tweets of these organizers and these scholars on Twitter, you would have seen that they put step-by-step information about how to go about cold emailing. So you should also do that. But one very important thing about whether you're doing cold emailing, whether you're applying for public scholarships, is that information is key. You need to display information on the subject matter. You need to display that you are informed, you have knowledge on the subject matter. You need to show passion, your interest. I want to do this. You need to be able to display it. So he mentioned writing your CV, your statement of purpose or letter of interest. These are and your reference letters are probably the most important documents that you need to get right. And if you don't get this right, any of them, it may affect your chances of securing a scholarship. So your statement of purpose is able to tell them to present. So it's a statement explaining myself to my professor that this is a problem. This is what I know so far. This is what I've read, and this is how I come into this situation. That is basically what a statement of purpose does. And your CV is able to present you as somebody who has some experience. Now, note that when I say some experience, it doesn't necessarily have to be work experience, because some people do not have work experience. And it doesn't actually hamper you totally, not in all cases, from getting a scholarships. Why there are some that want work experience, some do not. But there's something I should just briefly tell you now, which is that even if you do not have work experience, you could use your volunteering experience. So your lecturer just wants to know that you are not idle. Your professor wants to know that since you finished school 2 years ago, yes, you don't have a job, but what have you been doing with your time? Have you just been sleeping and playing football? You don't have a job yet, but you must have been doing something tangible, something productive with your time. So that is how, when even you don't have work experience, you could use your volunteering experience. That is why you could decide to volunteer for an engineering company and tell them that, sir, I know you don't like want to employ anybody right now, but I want to volunteer myself. I want to work in your company. I want to give maybe 20 hours in a week to work with your company. Do not pay me, because of course you are the one looking for experience. You're the one that needs it. I'm not asking for pay. I just want to learn. I don't know many companies that will reject that offer actually of getting free work from you, but you are not totally okay. So they are getting free services from you. You are gaining knowledge that you include in your CV, that you have been doing something with your time. So that is something you could also do if you do not have work experience. Just volunteer somewhere and put it. There's a way to write CV. Maybe we have another session to talk about that, and you're able to incorporate this into your profile. This gives you advantage in applying for scholarships. So we have said there are lots of funding. Go for the funding. Now there is something that we should talk about, which is rigidity and flexibility of scholarships or of disciplines of courses. So if you are so rigid, like I want a master's in civil engineering or nothing, my dear, you go take for jail, because you might not actually get exactly the course that you are looking for. But what you can do is, where is the funding? You go for the funding. when you go for the funding, you are probably able to find something that you can now, the funding is there, the research kind of aligns, and then you're able to find your way around it. So it's not exactly like, I just want MSc Mech Engine, but you eventually do a course in an engineering course that is not strictly Mech Engine, but it's, let me give you this quick something. So most researchers these days are looking at interdisciplinary approach to solving problems. What does that mean? So we have a cohort, we have a team of researchers working on a particular research, but all of them are not engineers. So universities are using this mode now for researchers. So we bring on the team, maybe a biochemist or an environmentalist, we bring in one structural engineer, we bring in maybe one economist. So this happens. So it is for you to be able to find your place in such a project, because some universities do not advertise it like MSc Mech Engine. But they will, like if you go to find a phd.com, I don't know if they, I think there's masters too that they post there. If you go to this website, some universities, what they do is they just advertise their projects. This project is ongoing right now. It is for you to sit down. This project that is ongoing, how do I fit in? So the project is saying that they want to do one research, one might, and then you think that, okay, but as an engineer, I'm able to fit into this aspect of this project. They didn't actually say the project is for mechanical engineers or is a mechanical engineering project. But when you read this description of the project, you found out that, oh yes, I can find a place in here. So quick example from that. I saw an advertisement for a PhD some weeks ago. The project just said they want to work on some projects in developing countries where they are going to be studying antimicrobial resistance in these countries that they do pit latrine. So I'm a water engineer, wastewater engineer. This is talking about antimicrobial resistance. But when I sat down to read the project, I have a place in it. Because why? It is the waste that is in the pit latrine that sinks into the soil, that circulates in the environment, pollutes their water, and then it finds its way back into their system and then causes what? The antimicrobial resistance. We don't have a mechanism to prove, but I'm able to sit down, think about it. I'm like, yeah, as a wastewater engineer, I can still actually find a place here. That is not to say that, and maybe a hydrologist or hydrogeochemist does not also have a place in this same project. It is how he writes his SOP, how I write my SOP, that determines who is given the slots. So he studied GIS. He can also apply for the same course. This one studied hydrogeochemistry. He can also apply for the same course. But there is somebody who studied public health. I can assure you that the person can also apply for this course. Because what they advertise is a project. It is for you to find your place in this project. So this comes back to how you think. If you're able to think holistically, if you're able to think deep, if you're able to sit down with the project and find your place in the project, then that stimulates your writing of your SOP. That stimulates how you write your CV and position yourself for these particular opportunities. That is when we talk about flexibility. So you cannot be rigid. You cannot just say, I'm looking for a master's in civil engineering, and that's it. Because as a matter of fact, you could see a project that says that they want to build something somewhere, and it doesn't even look like civil engineering. But when you sit down to think about it, you see your place as a civil engineer in that project, and then you apply. And don't be shocked, you will get it. Because this project, like I said, they take a multidisciplinary approach. That means that they are flexible. They just want to see your interest. They want to see how you connect with the project, and then you're good to go. You get the scholarship. So these are the things you need to know. These are the things you should think about when you are applying for scholarships. But there is something, which is when you choose a wrong research field or a PI, or so the scholarship is available, but you have a wrong research team. That can be frustrating. That is why. So I was speaking with one of my course directors one day, and I was talking about the possibility of a PhD in some of the courses. And he just smiled and said, ensure that you find what you love to do, because that is what gets you going. Now, this might not be same for masters. If you're going for a master's is just 1 year, you go off and yeah. But because I was talking about PhD, which takes 3 to 4 years, the man just said, make sure you find a PhD. It's something that you love to do, because the days are going to be, you are going to be having days where the chips are down and you just want to call it quits. It is the love you have, the passion that drove you to study this PhD that gets you going. So you should actually be careful when you're in the research field. Don't take something you have absolutely no interest in just because you want to japa. Me, I tell people, if japa is your motive, it may be a little difficult for you to get scholarships because you are not able to put yourself into it. You're not able to put yourself into what you are writing. When I'm writing SOP or something or letter of intent, I sit down with it, I think about it, I don't rush it. I may say I want to write an SOP in the last 3 days and I don't yet write it because in my head, as I'm going to class, as I'm eating, as I'm thinking, I'm picking information, I read, and then information starts arranging itself in my brain somehow. And then maybe after 3 or 5 days, I decide, okay, I want to write it today, and I sit down to write it. But when I'm writing, I'm able to put myself into what I'm writing. That is what gets you the scholarship you're looking for. It's not Jackpot motive. So if you are really about Jackpot, I just want to leave my country and go to Budo, you need to take a step back, find a way to connect with your research. If you don't connect, it might be difficult for you to really, really write something good, because you're writing from an aspect of Asha won't come off for you. So you need to be able to connect with what you are writing. It helps you flow well. It helps all the information come together for you, and it helps you present it in a good way. Also, please go over your English language skills very well. Practice writing, use Grammarly, use Google Dictionary. Your grammar is important, your spellings are important, how you present, your sentence structures are important. Some people mess up the whole message by using complex messages, complex sentences without comma, without that is also as important as what you are writing. So it's not just what you want to say that is important, how you say it is equally important. So you need to check your grammar, check how you present your. So we have said a lot of things today. I think by now this chat box should be like filled with questions. I was hoping that as I talk, you'll be putting questions there. Anything you want to ask, you should please go ahead and ask the questions that you need to know. Know that J scholarships are available. I think I mentioned about going to YouTube to learn. There are resources for you to learn on YouTube. There is something else, I don't know, I think I already briefly talked about it, which is free courses. There are loads and loads and loads of free courses online that you could take, pending the time that your application comes through. Take these courses, add them to your CV, take these courses, get the certificates, add them to your SOP. As a matter of fact, I submitted an SOP just a few minutes ago. Please, Mahmoud Ademoye, put your question in the chat box. So I just submitted a letter of interest a few minutes before, a few hours before this program started. And I was able to state in it that I attended a course, an online course, where I learned this, and this, because the course I was talking about aligns with what I'm applying for. So these are the things that you could do. You should look online for a lot of things that you could put in your CV. So I'm going to let Olaiwola quickly talk now.
Okay. Thank you so much. You
Yeah.
really spoke very well. Yeah. Okay. One thing I would say is like you said, there are different types of scholarship. There's public scholarship, there's silent scholarship, there's scholarship that people don't know about. That's like professor scholarship. One thing I would say is for us, we are engineering students. How would I put it? There's some countries that are actually very, very good, like uh very good and have funding for engineering students. One of them is South Korea. Very, very good, but people don't know. I also applied for Erasmus. Yeah, I applied for Erasmus. I applied for Europe, many scholarship in Europe. I even got selected on waiting list, but I didn't. I wasn't upgraded. So it was during that time I actually got to know that yeah, there's South Korea for engineering student. I school, when I started studying about South Korea, I was like, what am I going to go do in South Korea in the first instance? Because I felt normally I just BTS and all this K-pop and everything now. It's how they find good outside. But because I'm the kind of person I'm very curious and I want to find out more and know what they're actually doing there. That was led me to like, okay, let me discover what is going on in this country. One beautiful thing about where I'm studying now is that professors, there's funding in my country, like the country I am now, there's funding. Every professor has his lab and the lab has funding. I and one thing about here is that they don't really focus more on your grades. Like they don't really care about your whether you have first class or you have 2-1 or you have 2-2 or you have anything you have, that's your own business. The important thing is your research area. Your research. What can you bring to the lab? What can you contribute to the lab? What can you bring to the table to the lab? What can you bring exactly to the lab? For example, if the lab is focusing on something, if the professor says that okay, you have something that the lab is looking for, you are in already. You are in already. For example, if the professor is like, okay, working on maybe wireless power transfer, and maybe your undergraduate research project was on wireless power transfer now, for example, or something related. Professor can be like, okay, I'm interested in this person. Let me the person come and continue do his masters with us. Like you said, you have to read about the professor, understand what the professor is doing, know what the lab is doing specifically, because you can't just be sending random mails to people. You can't be sending random mails to professors that okay, I'm just interested in, I like this lab. Let me just send mails to this professor. You have to show your interest to that professor, show that you know what the lab is doing, show that you know what you are doing, know what you did in your undergraduate, know what the lab is doing, and know what is going on in your field currently. If you don't show that in your maybe your code email, the professor may not be interested. That's why I know some people they will say, I'll send code mails to professors, they don't reply me. They don't reply you because they don't see something catchy. They don't see something that is that is mind blowing to them. Even though they don't, you may feel that okay, maybe they may not they may not understand you well, but still, if they don't see something curiosity, if you don't see that this person is knowledgeable enough, they will not reply you. So one thing you have to do is, in my case, because I worked through code email, read, go through the lab website. That's, for example, the lab website. Okay, this lab works on something like this. They work on this particular thing. Yeah. Does it align with what I want to do? Have I done any course related to what they are doing in the lab? Is my undergraduate research project or on my undergraduate research related to what they are doing? That's one of the ways you can actually convince them that yes, you are suitable for that lab. Okay, for example, during my undergraduate project, I worked on maybe robotics or something. I designed a robot for something, and the lab is also working on robotics. Simple, you chip it in that okay, yes. During my undergraduate studies, I also worked on this thing, and I believe that from your by working in your lab, I can actually contribute my small knowledge to what the lab is doing currently. You have to align everything you are doing to that. For example, now me, like I said, I studied electrical and electronics engineering, but in my school we focus more on electrical. We didn't really focus on electronics. So when I was emailing the professors in the first instance, I was just emailing them based on electrical because that's what I know more. But I don't really know more of electronics. But after checking the lab website and reading about the lab and discovering that okay, this lab, this is what they are doing. They're actually doing electronics, not electrical. I had to change the format of my mail to suit what they're actually doing. because I discovered I'm not actually getting replies enough. So I was like, okay, let me change the mail. I'm like, okay, change the mail to suit what they're actually doing. And it worked for me. I was able to get it after changing the mail, after tweaking the mail to suit my regarding flexibility. This concerning flexibility, just be flexible with your fund to know where the funding is. So after I discovered, okay, this is where the funding is, I just change. Okay, like okay, I did a little bit of electronics, so let me just change. I showed that okay, I know little. And I also took some courses online, understand, took some courses on Coursera to actually brush up my knowledge of electronics. So it's actually worked for me. And also I repackaged my undergraduate research project because I actually I published my undergraduate research project. So it was actually helpful to me that okay, yes, this paper is published now. So they feel, oh, yeah, this person is actually good in publishing papers also. So if you are currently an undergraduate student or you have graduated and you have not published your paper, please try to publish it. They're actually very helpful to you, especially engineering students. It's going to be very helpful for you because that's one of the way professors or scholarship bodies grade you. What have you done? Aside, okay, you have good grades, yeah. Everybody has good grades. And some in where I am now, they don't even care about your grades. Grades is like it's not their concern. It's not their concern. It's the research is their concern. Research is the concern. So what have you done in your research area? And one way to show it is through your undergraduate research project. You may not really publish it, you may not really have published it, but try to put it out, okay, yes, this is what I did. Understand what you did in your undergraduate project. But the problem is most of us in our undergraduate don't know what we did. Some of us don't know what we did.
Mhm.
We just did it. But please, now I think maybe during this time, try to understand what you did. Because if by understanding what you did, that's when you can actually convince somebody to tell them that you know what you want to do. But if you're not able to even if you yourself don't understand what you did, how would you convince somebody else to believe in you? I hope you're understanding me. So you have to convince them that okay, this research that I did in my undergraduate, this is why I did it, and this is why I think I'm suitable to your lab. This is why I think this lab will be to benefit from you. One thing again, like where I am, masters is 2 years. Masters is not about actually knowing what you want to do. According to, based on what me have okay, bye-bye. Masters is not about it's not about actually knowing what you want to do. It's about teaching you generally broadly. They will teach you broadly, like I'm going to study generally about your field, like relearning again. Like now, currently now, I've spent 6 months I think 5 months or 6 months in Korea. You won't believe that I've just been relearning what I've learned in undergraduate again. Like learning it all over again, like perfecting what I've actually learned. Like my research, right? Like I told you, okay, in my undergraduate project, I studied about solar panels. Yeah. So now that I'm now doing master, I'm now learning what, like relearning what I've actually learned before. Mastering my undergraduate study. That's what I'm actually doing now. So, so you have to understand what you did in your undergraduate project. How does it relate to that professor's research lab? Then connect the dots together. Read his paper, follow the direction, understand that yes, this is what they are doing. This is what they are doing. This is what you can do. This is how you can contribute to the lab. Then send the code mail. Most like in Korea, because I'm in Korea, let me put Korea in this context. In Korea, most professors don't actually make advertisement that okay, there's funding. They don't. They don't. They don't have the time. So most time they marry is maybe somebody in the lab, maybe a Vietnamese that's in the lab. We just say that professor is looking for students. Just invite some countrymen to come. So that's why the power of cold mail come. Send cold mail to the professor that okay, professor, I'm interested in this your research area. I'm interested in this research area. Send cold mails to them. They will reply you. That's if your code email is good enough. They will definitely reply you. Yeah. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Laiwala. I think Mahmoud is still raising his hand, so let's give him some minutes to quickly explain what he wants to say. Mahmoud.
All right.
Okay. Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Okay. So currently a final level student of mechanical engineering in FUTA, and I've been interested in aerospace engineering for
Wow.
quite a number of years. So through my research, the university of choice, like for me, is Cranfield University. I've been trying to connect with some people at Cranfield. I even attended one event where they talked about some of the things they offer in Lagos. So the thing is, I don't know if it is possible for me to get a direct PhD or maybe even a master's, because Cranfield does not offer undergraduate studies.
No, it
They are
doesn't.
purely purely
Postgraduate only.
graduate. Yes. So since I'm coming from a mechanical engineering background, is it possible for me to still get a direct PhD or probably a master's? And if it's possible, how will I go about it? Then the other question is that can you connect me with some people that are in Cranfield, some Nigerians? So I will just have to ask questions from them and they will tell me
Okay.
how I'm going to go about it.
Okay. So I'm
Thank you.
quickly going to answer you, Mahmoud, because I'm in Cranfield University. So, Cranfield, yes, like you have said, is postgraduate only, and they are one of the leading universities for aerospace research. As a matter of fact, that was the first thing they started doing in this campus. It was aerospace research. So I'm going to say that I am not in the best position to tell you whether you can get PhD straight from BSc or to get an MSc, but I can tell you that it is possible. Now, what you will do, number one, is how long have you spent on the website of the school of the aerospace that you want to apply to? How much time have you spent on it? How often do you visit the site? Because when you go there, you could go there today and the funding is not advertised, and by next week they have advertised the funding, or you can even miss it by a few days that you will not know. Go to the website, read it very well. I'm going to give you, the first thing is, when you read very well and there is no funding available for the research, don't panic. Apply for admission still. After you have been given admission, you could actually mail them and tell them that you are interested, you have an admission, but you cannot fund it. There are times that it is the university that will not tell you that actually there is a scholarship, and they will tell you to apply for it. Universities do it. So do not reduce your own chances by not applying. Apply anyways. Whether you think it is PhD that is advertised and you think you can do it, fine, go for it. If it's MSc you want to go for, just one thing, go to the website, read everything that is big. When I'm applying for something, let me give you my secret. See this pen. When I'm applying for something, I carry pen, I have a book. I read through the website very well and write things I need to know. I don't just do random head reading, maybe because I'm old. Yeah. So I may not be able to store the information once like that in my head, but I take notes, I write the things I need to note down from the website that I need to work on. So go to the Cranfield website, go and see what you can do. What you can do again is the lecturers in aerospace. Look, there will always be their names on the school website. Check their names. Their emails are there. Mail them. Mail the lecturer and say, oh, this is my research work. This is my interest. Like I said, read their publications, read the current researches. Do you that you are interested in aerospace, what do you know about the latest thing Cranfield is doing in the aerospace department? You have to know. You have to stay abreast of what the field you want to go to. Because, so I just recently discovered that because we're having a class on Wednesday, that the first hydrogen-powered aeroplane in the whole world was flown for the first time in Cranfield. Do you know that?
Yes.
So I'm telling you that that is how to get informed. So you know everything that is there. Maybe knowing that the hydrogen something, you have thought about something else. You have thought about how they can maybe adapt one engine to suit it. Think about what you bring to the table. Look for the one professor or one doctor on the team. Mail him. Tell him what you think. Tell him how you have been going, like following the progress of his research or of the department and how you think you fit in. However, two things. If he thinks there is funding for him, maybe he has a funding that he has not advertised, he can tell you, okay, go and apply. And then you come to my lab, I'll fund you. The second thing is you can apply anyway and then still mail them and ask if there is funding. Do not shortchange yourself. Do not give yourself and reduce your own chances of getting it. I used to tell people that the least, I mean, the worst that can happen is to get a no. But you can't get a no if you don't even ask, if you don't even try. Okay. So please try. We never can tell. God will help you. Amen. You have something else to say?
Yes. You've not talked about how I'm going to connect with university students.
Okay, what you can,
Then
I'll drop a mail. I will drop my email with you. Then we can pick it up from there.
okay, thank you. Then another thing is that I've actually connected with some of their researchers and graduates, like some of them that have graduated, especially there's a particular lady, Sarah Qureshi. I've been following her work. But the issue that I'm having is that I'm connected to them on LinkedIn. But I don't know how I'm going to present myself to them so that, first impression lasts longer. So I don't know the best way to present myself
Okay.
to them.
Okay. Let's talk. Let's let the woman talk, and then I'll quickly just answer you. Hold on, Mumin. So what we are going to do is that means you are still not practicing your writing enough, because there is a way to. If you have been mailing your professors, then we must already have found a way to present your case in 1, 2, 3 paragraphs, or even one paragraph. There must be somehow a way to present yourself and catch the interest of the person you are trying to catch. So how have you been practicing your writing? You connected with them on LinkedIn, you're following them. Yes, go ahead and introduce yourself and tell them what you want to do. However, remember that not everybody is freely available every time, because they may also be very busy with their research. But it doesn't mean you should not try. Try to link up with them. If you said you needed contacts of people from Cranfield, I'll drop my email on the chat box now, so that we can talk about that later. I'm not promising that anybody is going to be able to give helpful information, because maybe they don't even know, or maybe they are busy. But I've dropped my email on the chat box. Mumin, you have the floor.
Yes, good evening, everyone. Thank
Good
you
evening.
so much for your great insights. So some time ago, I found that you can actually opt for a MPhil as against MSc, if you're strictly interested in lab works. I don't know if you can share some insights to that.
Okay, I do
So
not.
I'm sorry, I'm saying this because I'm more interested in the lab works. I have a background in HND, and then I have my BNG as well.
Okay.
So I'm not really inclined towards having a lot of more courseworks. I just want to do lab works.
Okay. So let me quickly give an answer before we go ahead to Kene K. So I know that there is masters in research as against masters taught modules. So I'm doing an MSc taught modules, but there are people who do M research. I don't know if the same thing with MPhil. I do not know, but if I know of M research. So if that is what you want, it's always advertised on every school website. They have masters in brackets taught for those of us doing coursework. They have masters in research, which you just go with your proposal and go straight to your research. So this goes back to you going to your school website, okay? Check whether there is masters just for research, not taught work, and then go for it. The requirements are always there. Keneke, let's have you.
Okay, good evening. Thank you very much. I truly appreciate the lectures from both of you. My questions are a few. Number one is that you moved from what I call sciences to engineering.
Yes.
And actually that struck me a lot, because I am planning on doing that. That is actually, I'm happy that I actually came into this breakout room for that. And my scholar in Korean, your area, what you made mention about, especially on Korea not looking at grades, which is actually a plus for a lot of us, because some of us graduated with a 2-2.
I graduated with a 2-2. I'm a teacher graduate too.
So when you're applying for places like US and the rest, oh God, is something else. It makes you look as if like a lot of us had to pass through a lot of things before we graduate. But that's by the way. Now my question is that to Blessing, please, do you struggle in your transition, as in with no background in engineering, because I'm kind of like a little scared. Whether though that the scary part will not prevent me from applying, I will, because I'm going into biomedical engineering. I had a BSc and I'm also have a master's degree in physics. So I'm transitioning to biomedical engineering. There are some relations, which is, but you know, the biocore engineering courses. When you move there, did you struggle? I don't know.
So because of our time, let me quickly answer you.
Okay.
So I moved from biochemistry to wastewater engineering, and yes, I did struggle. I did struggle with that. And when we switched from the process, when we entered into, so all my life, I avoid mathematics and physics. That's it.
Yeah.
So I picked a course in engineering. Then I felt like, okay, why did you even do something like that? So yes, I struggled in the beginning part of it. And yes, there was a day that I actually cried because I'm like, okay, why did I take this course? But it's getting better now. I struggled back then, but it's really getting better and I'm enjoying it. And I'm glad that I took the choice. So you're transitioning from, you're transitioning
that's why
from,
you are here.
yes, that's why I'm here to encourage others.
Exactly.
So
If
you are
you had not
transitioning from,
persisted, we wouldn't have had the opportunity of meeting you.
yeah. So you are
Then the second
transitioning from
question is,
physics, so it's not going to be totally difficult.
no, at all. At least I have a very good background in mathematics and at least though not some electronics. But yeah, my question second is that I graduated in 2008. That's my BSc.
Yeah.
And then master's was in 2013. Though presently I'm a lecturer in my state university here. But I am moving away from physics to engineering. Like you rightly made mention. Engineering is too versatile.
It's very broad.
In fact, the future is engineering. That is simple truth.
Yes.
Now, the question is that will that my background as the age of my certificate or graduate, will it affect my chances?
Okay, so there are some scholarships, public scholarships that put age restriction.
Seriously.
So I'm going to be 35 in 2 months. And when I was going to apply, this is one of the reasons I put a lot of pressure on my application. And that was the only application that I did, but I put a lot of myself into it because I knew that was my only chance. By this year, I would not be able to apply because I would have already been 35 when it comes out, and I would not be able to apply because of the. So yes, there are some that place age restrictions, but there are some that do not actually place age restrictions. There are some that the age restriction is 40. You understand? So sometimes it doesn't affect you, sometimes it affects you. But I can assure you have already your timeline. I also finished my undergraduate in 2008 and I finished my master's in 2016. So it's similar. And
we are close.
Yes. And although this is my second master's, not a PhD, but it's totally not to say that you cannot get a PhD even with the gap because you are a lecturer. And during that period, you've been doing academic work.
Yeah, sure.
So it doesn't stop you. You only need to focus on your packaging, writing your essays well. So we quickly go to Mazola because of time, please.
No, sorry, I have just last question. The guy in Korea, please. Sorry, do you made mention that Korea accepts a lot of, when does the application usually come in a year so that we know how to prepare ahead of time and then start?
The thing is about Korea is in every year there's two entrances. We have entrance in March, we have entrance in September. So some people can enter March, some people will enter September. Like this year now, some people are coming in March to resume in March. Me, I resume September. So you can resume in every year. You have two entrances.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, God
Julius,
bless you guys.
your hands are up. Could you quickly talk before we do class? Julius? Okay, I guess he's not with us. Damilare, could you go ahead?
Okay. Good evening, everyone.
You are so distant. Can you speak louder?
Good evening. Good evening. Am I still distant?
Yeah, continue.
Okay. I am an HND holder, though I haven't enrolled for another degree, but I'm looking at my chances of gaining a scholarship in other countries. So I wish to know what are the chances? Like trying to get a scholarship in Korea, just like Olayiwola is.
Okay. Okay. I think the first thing you have to do is your HND, you can convert it to West evaluation.
Yes, yes, I do.
Yeah, exactly. So I think if you do the West evaluation, it will make it equivalent to your BSc.
Okay.
You understand? Then you can use it to apply for any scholarship you want.
Okay.
Yeah. And again, in most cases, it boosts your GP. According to what I hear, they said anytime you do West evaluation, you always boost GP. So do not have nothing to be afraid of. They always boost GP.
Okay.
Thank
Yeah.
you. Julius, can you quickly go ahead?
Yes, yes. So my brief question is that I want to know if the engineering courses you talk about, do you have genetic engineering in there or anything related to biotechnology in Korea? And let's
Yes.
talk about those ones because it looks like the engineering courses you talk about are all so.
Oh,
Are you talking about bioengineering?
Yes, bioengineering could be one.
Okay.
Or anything in biotechnology,
Okay. Okay. One
Yeah.
one thing about Korea is that no matter any engineering you are doing, you're going to be connected to electronics. No matter, I'm telling you now specifically, no matter the engineering you are doing, even if you are doing
genetic engineering,
anything, any engineering you're going to do, you're going to be connected to electronics because Korea is like very strong in electronics, like very, very strong in electronics. So there's nothing you do, they're not going to be connected to electronics. Even people that are doing Greek are doing small electronics, progress of somebody that is not doing engineering. So no matter what, just know that you do little of electronics, no matter what. But engineering is very fertile in Korea, like funding day.
Okay.
Funding day, like there's funding. But it's just that the problem people normally have is that they choose, they just be like, okay, no, this is just a specific area they want. Like they just want to do civil engineering. If it's not civil engineering, you're not doing civil.
And then another thing is, I'm sorry to cut you short. I want to quickly mention is that a lot of people are so adamant on US.
Yeah.
US. If it's not US or UK, I'm not going. But South Korea has heavy funding for engineering, and you want to go to US that has all these rules. You really should be flexible.
Apart from that, one thing about Korea is that once you come to Korea, it's very easy for you to go anywhere, especially US, because South Korea and US, they are very like party now. You understand? Okay. They'll be like very close. So if you can actually come to Korea, just know that it's very easy for you to go to US because it will be difficult for you. There's some countries that can go to that will be like because of something like some countries, like if you go to like Russia now or this kind of country now, if you get issue because you won't go US again. But Korea, we have very close relationship with US, so it's going to be very easy for you to move, to switch, to move.
Okay, thank you, Mazola. You have the floor. Mazola. Okay, allow me go on.
Okay. Good evening, everybody. Thank you for this opportunity. I just want to ask Tokbe, the Korean scholar. Sorry.
Thank you for bothering my name now.
Your name already sounds like a Korean name, Seth.
I just want to find out, because yeah, I know South Korea is very advanced technology-wise.
Yeah.
But the
Yeah.
issue I have, and even the fear, like if I tell anybody of my family members I want to come to South Korea, they're like, number one, the food. How are you going to cope? I just want to understand how the way of life is there. Because we watch South Korean movies, we see what they eat, we see how they live. So many things. So I'm always very skeptical about how I will fit in. And you really see Black people, like they're not so plenty like that, or like USA or UK that okay, I will still see my people now. So maybe just touch that part a bit. Thank you.
Okay, Ma. Like today now, I made my own rice and stew myself.
Okay.
I grinded the tomato and the rodo myself. So actually, you can eat any food you want. It's just that you have to, although you not see all the ingredients, but just know you get what you want. At least you get the essentials. You get the essentials. Like you get the tomato now, you get the rodo, but you may not get the palm oil or the palm because you be Yoruba girl. Allow me, be Yoruba girl. So you may not get but at least you get the essentials.
You will not get begiri.
All those amala, you may not see it, but at least you will see sweet potato, rice, beans, spaghetti.
When you see bread and you see egg, what is the remaining?
And you see egg, you see fish, you see meat. What else again now? This.
Okay, thank you. Also, the racism, like you said, racism. How do you relate with the Asians? Like
actually, since I've came to Korea, I've not seen anybody that's been racist to me. Like
that's nice.
I just do my thing.
Then the language
one thing about Korea is that nobody actually cares about you. Nobody has your time.
Nobody's saying
just doing their thing. Not to concern them with you. You can be doing your thing, they are doing their thing. Everybody's just doing their own. Abi, nobody actually have your time.
Okay, Adekunle Ajibode, please go ahead.
Thank you.
Yeah, good evening, everybody.
Good evening. Could you please make it
Sorry,
fast?
I want to just ask a question about the is it NIIED scholarship? I'm very sorry, I can't really remember the name of that scholarship, like Korean government scholarship. Is it compulsory someone go through the Nigerian embassy? Because like Chinese government scholarship that has three main I will like type A, type B, type C. And is it compulsory someone go through Nigerian embassy to apply for Korean government scholarship? That is one. Secondly, do you have the PhD applicants? Do you have to get a professor, unlike Chinese government scholarship that you have to secure the professor? Do you have to do that for Korean government scholarship too? Third question, please, do you have to, if you are not presently in Nigeria, do you have to go back to the country to apply for visa whenever assuming you are opportune to get one of the scholarship? Thank you.
Okay. Let me answer your question. Actually, I didn't come through KGS. I came through professor scholarship. You understand? And that is the surest way for you. I'm not downgrading any scholarship now. I'm just telling you, like, that's like the surest way for you, because KGS is very people today apply, and the number of spots, the number of spaces available is very small. For example, now it can just be like five students they are looking for. So why limit yourself to that kind of thing when you know that professor scholarship like plenty? You understand? Majority of people that come to Korea now are not coming through KGS, they are coming through professor scholarship actually. Like almost 70%, 80% of us coming are not coming on to JKS. They are coming through professor scholarship. You understand? In your case that you want to study PhD is like the highest funded itself. They are even more funded than masters, because some professors want you to have long stay. You understand? Like 4 years or 5 years. You understand? So the rate of funding for you as a PhD student, you understand? You have to, like you said, you have to contact a professor. You have to contact a professor. You have to email the professor that you are interested in his lab.
Okay, so he asked about if you have to come to your country to get a visa.
Okay, come to the country, like come to Korea.
No. Like if he's not in Nigeria now, does he have to go back to Nigeria before applying for visa to Korea, or he can apply from wherever he is to Korea?
Oh, I think you can apply from wherever you are. You don't have to come to Nigeria.
I think so too.
I don't think you have to come to Nigeria.
No.
You can apply from wherever you are now.
Okay, thank you. Mazola, I'm going to quickly address your chat now. You said, in your country, some lecturers consider some aspects of emailing as rude. So I don't know what you mean by some aspects of emailing as rude. Could you please explain? So what are the tips of giving you for emailing the lecturers? Emailing the lecturers means that you are telling the lecturers that, sir, I have read your work. I have seen that your research, I find your research fascinating, intriguing, and I want to be a part of your research work. And like we have said earlier, you are showing that you have read, you've done your homework, you are informed, you are also strategic, you're also forward thinking about possible solutions, possible things you can bring to the research team. Like, okay, I think I want to do this. Can we do like this? Just let him know that you are informed about what he's doing in his lab. That is what code emailing means. Like, I just look for somebody who has funding, and I tell him that I want to work with him. So could you please explain what you mean by the lecturers actually considering email as rude? Because I don't think emails are rude, except you go to your lecturer and say, dear Dr. Olajuwola, good morning to you, sir. How was your weekend? Hope you are doing good. That is actually rude, because it's supposed to be a formal relationship between you and your lecturer. So could you explain further? Or then if you're fine with it, we could just go ahead. Ola Dimeji, could you please talk now? And Olaiwola, you have a question. Are your courses in South Korea, are they taught in English?
Okay, my university, yeah, it's English. In my university, it's English.
You have to be clear. I don't know for that.
Yeah, I have to be clear. Yeah, in my university, it's English. So I know about my university.
Yeah, that's fine. So Oladimeji, could you have the floor now, or is there something you want to say? Your hands are up, or your hand is up. It's one.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, okay, go ahead.
Thank you for your time. I really appreciate this very much. So somebody asked a question earlier on about WES for HND holders. So I wanted to know if WES evaluation can be used in other countries.
Yes.
Yes, it can be
Have
used.
You seen any? Used? Okay. And
yeah, US.
No, apart from US, I'm sure about US and Canada. But
we have 1 minute to leave this place.
Aside from those two. Okay.
You could, I said earlier, you could actually search this information from Google. You can ask, is WES accepted in Japan? Is WES accepted in Switzerland? Is WES
and again, you can send a message to the graduate school, like to the graduate school
of your school.
Do they accept? They will reply you.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Okay. So we have 1 minute to wrap it up. I think there is no more question here. If there is any more question, we can talk about them when we get to, okay, let me read this. There's one final question. I wanted to know, what can you advise someone in undergraduate level who wants to secure an opportunity, or what start reading now, start preparing yourself, be knowledgeable, know what is going on in your field, read wide. Do not box your thinking, because in Nigeria, we always, like he said the other time, it's just theory. We don't really know practical. Read wide, absorb as knowledge as you can. Now that you're still in undergraduate, take free courses, volunteer in your class, volunteer in your school, build your CV at this time, learn softwares that are required for your coursework, build capacity. Now start making yourself in a position of advantage for applying for scholarships. So now you have the time, because you are still an undergraduate, your spare time, your free time, do not use it to play, use it to start building your CV. Like I said, free courses, learn softwares, volunteer your free time for services, because some of these people actually value your volunteering services. What do you do in your spare time? Do you teach? Do you go to one primary school in your area and then and coach the students for free? Do you offer what services? What do you do for humanity? Those are the things you put in your CV actually that boost your chances of securing a scholarship. So whatever you can do, start doing now. I hope I've been able to answer your question well. So we would be leaving this room very soon. I hope it was value for your time, everybody.
Thank you, everyone.
Yeah.
Somebody's trying to say something.
Your Twitter handle,
Absolutely,
both of you.
absolutely. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you,
My-
both of you.
Okay.
I really
Thank
learned
you
a lot.
so much.
Thank you, both of you.
So drop your Twitter handle now.
Okay, I've dropped my Sandu. Yeah.
Okay.
I've
dropped mine too.
Any question, please just feel free. Tag. You can tag or reply. Anyone. Just
Yeah.
we try our
you,
best
guys.
to answer you.
Good to have you all here. I think I'm going to stop the
And please come to
record.
Korea, so I will not be the only black person.
Okay, I don't have that problem. There are lots of black people in UK.
Ola will come and eat rice in Korea.
Nice having all of you
Very
here.
soon. We'll chat very soon.
Oh,
Face to
yeah.
face.
Okay, amen.
Then we should say congratulations to you in advance, yeah?
Abi.
Yes, thank you. I receive it.
Okay, nice having all of you here today. Olaiwola, thank you.
Yeah, thank you too.
I'm going to stop the recording. I think we are about done.
Yeah.
Can you mute yourself, please?
Crypto. Ninos Korea.